Check the description for the following discount codes. Another cockpit review today, the Trak Racer TR8 Pro. Tubular design, designed specifically to be wife friendly, a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than our aluminium profile counterparts. It also claims a very small footprint and very fast assembly time. 45 minutes is what it says on the website here. Now that's quick. I think it's probably a bit optimistic because having built dozens of cockpits, I don't think I've ever built one in 45 minutes, but we'll see just how long it takes. Some of it is kind of pre-assembled. The seat rail and slider assembly is on the base there. The pedal tray assembly is already mounted on the front. So there is a little bit of the more, fiddly nut and bolt intensive assembly already done. The seat is very interesting. It's a fixed bucket seat, no recliner mechanism, and it comes in two parts like you can see here. I'll just give you a close-up of one part of it. This is actually really quite heavy for what it is, and it looks cool as hell. So I quite like that. I have one slight reservation though about this seat. It looks like we only have one piece of foam and that's material covered, which is this here. It's quite firm. That's not the reservation. The reservation is that the rest of the bits for the seat seem to be rubber or a very flexible plastic. I would say it feels more rubbery, and surely this is going to make you sweat like mad. It definitely would me. So I'm curious to see exactly how this goes together, because it looks like this foam piece, I think, is probably just for the base. Yeah, and then your upright sections are all rubber. So that's an interesting design choice. A bit like wearing a plastic bag or a rubber gimp suit. I don't know if that's your thing. Maybe you'll like it. But anyway, we've got some rubber on the seat. We have a limited amount of foam and material. The seat, as I say, is heavy. These two pieces together, they're quite a lump. Considering there's no mechanism in them, that's a great sign of quality. And that carries on throughout everything else here. The boxes that this all came in, 3 separate boxes on a pallet, and I'm picking it up and I'm thinking, wow, just when I thought cockpits couldn't get any heavier, this one arrives and it's really, really weighty. So I'll show you the wheel deck. Now this is kind of your sort of universal wheel deck, pre-drilled for a million different wheelbases. It's probably 5mm thick. There's no reinforcement across the middle, but the 2 side pieces are also pretty hefty as well. And of course, once your wheelbase is bolted to it, that kind of acts as the reinforcement across the middle there. But this isn't your only option. You can buy specific direct drive wheelbase mounts. So you can buy a front mount, you can buy side mounts, you can buy Acertech specific mounts, should you not want to bolt it just to that plate. So that's a nice touch. We've got, pardon me, shifter mount arm here, fairly standard, hefty looking piece. The plate itself, not so hefty and not particularly large. So I would say initial thoughts is this is very average from a shifter mount point of view. I've certainly seen much beefier ones in my time. And then I'll quickly show you the pedal tray, and I say quickly because it's heavy and I don't want to have to keep holding it up. This has got bracing across the middle and from side to side, so I don't think we'll have any problem. The plate itself is a couple of mil. Don't think we'd have any problems with flex on this. But yeah, as I say, everything is hefty, which is great. Now, anything else they mention here? Extremely rigid and fast 45-minute assembly time, which is what I mentioned. The heftiness, the weight is going to give us that rigidity that we need. It's not a super expensive cockpit though. I think it's currently on sale at about £580. So compared to some others that are sort of £1,000, £1,200, if this did have a little bit of flex or wobble, that would actually be acceptable, because let's say a cheap cockpit is maybe £150, £200, mid-range £500, £600, top of the range £1,000, £1,200. So this, I believe that's the price. Where's my keyboard? So this being priced mid-range, we need to expect mid-range performance. Yeah, currently 557 and 10 pence here in the UK, down from 619. And there will be a discounted link in the description as well. What's interesting is the seat shown here is not the seat that I've got. That one has a lot more foam attached to it. I wonder if it shows the seat I've got in any of these other pictures. Or maybe I'm missing a box and there should be more to it. I don't know. I'll have to check the instructions. Oh, the instructions are PDF. They don't include paper instructions. That is something I would have preferred. I do like to see paper instructions, but I'll have them up on the big screen here as I do the assembly. Anyway, as far as nuts and bolts go, we've just got this single piece of cardboard with them all on, and they're all labelled to match the PDF assembly guide. Also, yeah, I am curious about this seat, because perhaps I've got a box missing that has the rest of the padding that should be with it. We'll find out when I get it together, because it'll be pretty obvious if I go to sit in it. Well, if I look at it and there's obviously stuff missing, we'll know. But I've unpacked everything that came with it. At least I believe I have. I will go and check. Anyway, let's get this all assembled, find out whether I am missing some bits for the seat and whether it should look like that or not, and then see how the whole thing looks fully put together. So I'm going to say assembly took probably about an hour, so very close to the claimed 45 minutes, which is really quite good. What I like is that most, actually I'm going to say, I think all. So all of the bolts, apart from 2, were pre-installed in their locations, which makes things a lot faster. Yes, you have to wind them out before you put the 2 pieces you're mating together and then do them up, but that's a lot quicker than coming over to your piece of cardboard with all your nuts and bolts and finding the ones you need, or perhaps in other rig cases, finding the appropriate bag with the right size nuts and bolts in. So assembly really was very quick for a full cockpit. Made things pretty simple. One thing we've got here, this is the PDF instructions on the screen. We've got this long cable tie. It's like your typical sort of piece of wire encased in plastic that bends and stays where you bend it. It's quite long, as you just saw in my hand there. And the instructions say this snake cable, 3 meters long, so that's how long it is tightly secured to the frame with a wire cable. To install, ensure the wire cable is tightened by hand. I've absolutely no clue what it's talking about. There is a grommet in the side of the cockpit, just down here, and there's one on the other side as well. And it looks like you would put it through this grommet. But I have no idea why you would need a 3 meter wire snake cable hanging out the side of the rig. Not a clue what it's there for. So I haven't installed it. But if anyone would like to tell me what this snake cable is for, I'd be very interested to know. For me, my snake cable is staying on the side, out the way. And The English just isn't very clear either, is it? This snake cable is tightly secured to the frame with a wire cable. So where's the wire cable that I'm installing the wire snake cable with? To ensure the wire cable is tightened by hand. I just have no clue what it's talking about, but I guess it's not important. I thought perhaps it was for cable management because there's a grommet on the other side as well, but I don't know why you'd need 3 meters of it. Anyway, enough waffling on about that. Clarification about the seat. The one pictured on the website is just basically a placeholder. What I didn't notice earlier when I was showing you the price, 557.10, that is without a seat. If you come down to the options here, no seat is ticked. If you want a seat, the one we have here, which is the GT style, I think they said it's 100% fiberglass, seat is £332.10. So that would take the whole price of the cockpit to just shy of £900, which kind of makes sense. I was thinking with a seat, that's really quite cheap. For something so heavy and what felt so solid. And if we look at the seat itself, it does indeed just use the rubber that I showed you in the earlier part of the video. There is actually no cushioning. This foam piece of cushion here isn't in the pictures for the seat. So I'm guessing if you want it, you can just put it in. It fits perfectly. But looking at it on the website here, it's just this rubber piece, which is here with the sort of slot in the middle. So you are sitting on a 100% solid rubber seat, which, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say, I mean, it's just weird. I've never had a bucket seat that's completely firm. Now, I don't race cars in real life. I've done a little bit of track day stuff, but in my own car, and a little bit of drifting in an old BMW E30 drift car that me and my brother built and turbocharged. So do race drivers just have bucket seats with only rubber? Because this is going to be a sweat fest. Like I sweat a fair bit with just fabric seats. PU leather ones, polyurethane ones are a nightmare, and this is just, it's going to be the same as that. So, I mean, it's not an uncomfortable shape or size. I'm reasonably broad. It would be, quite comfortable, but it's just very, very firm. So, an interesting design choice there. I will grab the camera and just give you a close-up walk around now, actually, so you'll see closer what this seat actually looks like and all the adjustment points as well. So let's have a look at this seat in closer detail. Everything you see here by way of cushioning is that rubber material that I showed you in the beginning part of the video. And as you can see there, you're literally sitting on the rubber just as it shows on the screen there as well. So it's a very interesting choice. You've got your angle adjustment here and here. You can raise the seat up and down and adjust the angle, and then under the front here you've got your grab handle to slide it forwards and backwards. So that's all fairly standard, but I like the seat. I like the way it looks. I just don't think it would be my choice of material. It's just I'm going to be dripping wet with sweat, but I mean, it looks cool. If you're not someone that gets really hot when you're racing, maybe it's fine for you. So then the cockpit itself, it is quite a slimline and small footprinted cockpit, exactly as they claim, which is quite nice if you do have limited space. You can see the shifter mounts down there that can go on either side. So that's definitely quite nice. This is the universal wheel deck, as I mentioned in the earlier part of the video. It has various angle adjustments here, and then height adjustment is done. You see this myriad of holes here and the same here. We've actually got some slots. So not only can we adjust it up and down here, we can move it backwards and forwards, in addition to the fact that it slides backwards and forwards on these nice shiny runners there as well. So plenty of adjustment for the wheel deck. Pedal tray, I'm sure you've already spotted the various slots here for height adjustment, the pre-drilled cutouts here, again for height and angle adjustment there. and then a myriad of slots and pre-drilled holes to accommodate all different types of pedals as well. We've also got bolts here, and there's like there, and the same at the other end, so you can slide it backwards and forwards in these rectangular sections as well. So plenty of adjustment for everything on the, as far as the pedal tray goes, and the wheel deck and the seat. I mean, what more do we need really in a cockpit? So I think the thing to do now then, I mean, let's have a quick close-up look at the shifter mount. I mean, I showed it to you earlier. This is how it's fixed to the rig itself. It comes out quite a reasonable way, but I mean, it's solid on there. This piece here and these are rock solid. I think you might see a little bit of flex in this top plate if you were to mount. I mean, yeah, look, I can. Oh, actually, that's because I haven't done them up yet. But yeah, if you were to mount perhaps a shifter that is really, really stiff, you might get a little bit of flex, but it wouldn't be a lot, if anything. So yeah, not the best I've seen, but certainly adequate, I would say, for the task in hand. Yeah, I don't really think there's much else to show you from a close-up point of view. As I say, you can have different mounts specific to your direct drive wheelbase rather than having to use this. And there's also various monitor mount options that come, don't come, that are optional. So you can have single, triple, etc. all on the website there, that will be linked in the description. So let's get some sim racing equipment on it and just see how it feels for flex and wobble. First things first, let's have a look at my flex and wobble test segments. First of all, with the wheel deck here itself. Now, from what I could tell sitting in it, there's absolutely no side-to-side movement whatsoever. And what up and down movement I can sort of force, I think, is the cockpit dipping into my carpet. It may be the upright sections of tube where they bend forward towards me at 90 degrees, or over a nice radius, but ultimately 90 degrees. It might be there, but from sitting in the rig, I can't quite tell whether it's the rig dipping into the carpet or whether it's these here just kind of flexing a little bit. Perhaps we'll be able to see, you know, obviously I haven't seen the footage yet, perhaps we'll be able to see on camera, but basically it's solid as far as I can tell for its price point. And I'll put up some footage in a second of me just using it driving, you know, in a race, and in because like when I'm doing these tests, I'm giving it like almost all the strength I've got, with the exception of wanting to damage, you know, a mid-range wheel, for example. So it's a bit unrealistic. So you'll see me use it in a minute under normal conditions. Same goes for the pedal tray. Now this to me looks like the pedal tray is dipping like forwards, flexing forwards. But again, I can't tell from the seated position if that is the rig dipping into my carpet. We'll definitely be able to see this from the footage, I'm sure, so you can tell for yourselves right now as I'm speaking, whether it's the rig dipping into the carpet, whether it's the pedal tray itself flexing, you know, sort of backwards away from me, or perhaps a little combination of the two. But hopefully you'll have been able to see clearly from that footage there. So now let's put up some footage of me actually driving it, and you'll see how it looks under normal circumstances. And what I can say from using it, I haven't got any complaints. I don't notice any flex or wobble in normal use. Obviously this wheelbase only puts out 8 Newton meters. It is all the way up to 8 Newton meters. So, you know, those of you that like to run heavier wheelbases, you'll see flex similar to what you saw me try and force it do in those previous clips. But I run about 10 Newton meters. That's why I don't mind using this wheelbase to test things with, because I don't run, you know, 8 to 10 Newton meters. It's only 2 Newton meters more torque. So for me, this is an easy wheelbase to throw on and get a sort of realistic view of what the rig is doing from a flex and wobble perspective. But yeah, it seems absolutely fine in use. Oh, the only thing I will show you in a second actually is some seat wobble. Not so much backwards and forwards because we're in a bucket seat, so there's no recliner mechanism, but side to side. And this is a bit of a weird one, and you'll understand why in a second. Yeah, I still wouldn't choose this seat. Talking about the seat, I'm already sweating and I haven't really been racing for that long or even sitting in it for that long really, but it's not particular, it's very, very firm. There's no cushioning really, and yeah, it's rubber, so wouldn't be my first choice of seat. But there's lots of seats to choose from, and you can get ones with recliners as well, should you need to have ones that recline, because perhaps you race with friends or family members and you don't all share exactly the same driving position. So let's just stop that now. You'd have seen, you know, what flex and wobble there is in use now. Yeah, if you do share your rig with family members or friends, obviously the seat is on a slider for backwards and forwards adjustment, but we've got quick release handles here as well, which allow us to just back them off, and then you can slide the wheel backwards and forwards, and that's really quite a nice little touch. Pedals don't have any quick adjustment, but if you can adjust your seat and your steering wheel, don't need to move the pedals because you move everything else around it. If I was longer legs, then I would go further back from the pedals and bring the wheel towards me, although if I had longer legs, I'd have longer arms, probably wouldn't need to move the steering wheel. But you get the idea, and if I was a shorter person, I'd bring it, you know, all the way forward, and the same with this as well. So the adjustments there, should you need to. But yeah, this seat, there is side-to-side wobble. Look, I'm sure you'll see that on camera, and I'm just wiggling my hips. I always end up doing stupid things in videos. The reason for that is we've got some flex with these side brackets, because they're not particularly thick. But I think the biggest cause of this flex is that these side brackets, where they bolt down onto the sliders, the runners, sandwiched between the brackets and the runner is a maybe 10mm thick rubber strip. And the bolts for this, the 2 bolts this side, 2 bolts this side, go through 2 holes in that rubber strip. It literally sits sandwiched between the two. And I'm not sure why it's there, because I've built obviously dozens of rigs, lots of them with side mounted seat brackets like this. They would normally bolt straight down to the seat runner, to the slider mechanism. There wouldn't be this piece of rubber sandwiched between the two, which gives it this wobble. Now again, when you just saw me racing a second ago, I didn't really pay attention to my seat. Did it wobble? Did it not? I don't know. You guys tell me and I'll see it as well in the footage. You don't do this when you're racing, so it's not really an issue. The only time it might come into play is if you're running, say, 15, 20 Newton meters and are genuinely running that torque, not just my wheelbase can do it, but you're actually running it. And you're proper having to, like, then you're going to be perhaps fighting the wheel and pushing into the bucket seat to kind of, you know, fight with the wheel. I think then, like a sharp sort of chicane scenario, left, right, you're going to get it to wobble. But I mean, maybe I'm just being a bit extreme with that movement, I don't know, but I just thought it's a good way of demonstrating that flex. And the other thing, of course, you can do, which will make a massive difference, is simply remove the rubber strip that's sandwiched between the two. Now, I haven't checked to see whether that will cause any issues. I'm just thinking out loud here, but it looks like you're just bolting straight through the side brackets, through the rubber strip, and down into the seat sliders. It might be that you need to use different bolt lengths because they might be too long if you remove 10mm worth of rubber, but it's an easy fix that would certainly eliminate probably 50% or more of this, you know, side-to-side wobble that we've got here. So aside from the side-to-side wobble, which I think could be fixed by doing what I just said, and potentially the pedal tray flexing down under braking. Again, we'll have seen that in the close-up footage, I'm sure, by now, so we'll know. The rig seems to be fine. I like the quick adjustment on the steering wheel and, of course, the seat slider. The seat itself is irrelevant because there's so many different ones to choose from. If you don't want this one, choose a different one. Fabric one, PU leather, recliner, non-recliner, that's entirely up to you. The rig itself, it is a relatively slim footprint, much as they designed it to be, and it does indeed go together pretty quickly. Not perhaps 45 minutes, but about an hour, I reckon it took me, after you've unpackaged it, of course, which probably takes an hour on its own. And this thing is hefty. It is heavy, which adds to it being nice and solid. So yeah, apart from the few little things I've pointed out, like I'd like instructions, paper booklet, rather than just online, PDF style, and I would prefer the rubbers to not be between the side brackets and the seat. But aside from that, I don't really have any complaints. The pedal tray flex, will have seen in the footage, whether it's, again, pedal tray flex is a weird one because in some respects it almost doesn't matter to a certain extent because it's repeatable. It flexes exactly the same every single time, whether it is on this or not, you know, carpet, we don't know, but let's say there is some flex. And even if it's my carpet, for example, it compresses the same amount every time. And that's exactly what things like elastomers do in our brake pedals that we tune to have them feel the way we want them to feel and tune the movement we have. We're actually just flexing or compressing an object. So if your pedal tray flexes exactly the same every single time, adjust your elastomers to have your pedal feel how you want it to feel, and it probably makes very little difference. Certainly not for, you know, the average sim racer. If you're in the top 2% of the world, perhaps you'll notice your braking being not quite as repeatable if you have a bit of flex in your pedal tray, but for most of us who are not that good, it's probably not really a big deal. And again, like I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, this cockpit without a seat is 570 odd quid, which puts it more mid to mid-high than it does high. You can spend 1,200, 1,500 on a cockpit. So a little bit of flex and wobble here and there should be expected and is allowed. So anyway, that's my review of the TR8 Pro from Trak Racer. Link in the description should you want to pick one up. You can get it in grey as well, should you prefer a light grey option, and there are many seats to choose from, along with monitor mounts and other accessories. As always, thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.